Is solar power right for you? Stay tuned to find out. I'd love it if you subscribe to the channel. Today I get a chance to interview Aubrey Lethbridge with Freedom Solar Power here in Austin, Texas. We discuss some of the basics of solar power, as well as how to find out if solar power is right for you and your home. Aubrey, why don't you first go ahead and kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name's Aubrey Lethbridge. I work with Freedom Solar Power. I'm a residential energy consultant, so I help homeowners understand what the significance is of going solar for them, how much they can save, and what it means, all the ins and outs of it. I've originally come from New York, moved to Austin a few years ago, and have always worked in kind of the consumer side of the energy market, making sure that homeowners are protected from utilities and making sure that they are able to, afford those utilities. And I'm really excited to be working in solar because it presents a new opportunity, unlike one that we've ever seen before. The opportunity to kind of separate yourself from the grid, to be your own power plant, and to then have some control, right? You take the power back, both symbolically and literally, because you're creating that power, and then you have some power to make decisions and save money on that power. So
awesome.
Happy to be here.
For anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Schlicker. I'm a real estate agent here in the Austin area. There's my great contact information there. Today we just kind of want to talk about solar and kind of trying to see if it's right for you, and just answer some basic questions. Happy to take any questions that come up in the comments if people have them. I do have a handful of questions that clients of mine have asked, things that I've wondered about as well too, that we're going to kind of ask Aubrey. So there's plenty to do, but if we do have anybody that wants to ask questions, leave it in the comments, and I'd be happy to try to get that answered for you guys today. So to get started, one of the big questions we always get asked are there different types of solar panels, or is a solar panel a solar panel a solar panel?
That's a great question. And yes, there are different types of solar panels. We work pretty exclusively, Freedom Solar works exclusively with a company called SunPower. SunPower makes panels that are designed a little bit differently from everybody else's. They have a higher efficiency and a longer lasting time. But one thing also I'd like to kind of point out is, for this to be sort of a tool for anybody who's just trying to understand more about panels. There are different panels, and you should be careful about when you're shopping. I would definitely try to understand the brand of panel and the warranty that exists. But there's also some things that I'd be careful of, right? There are things called, monocrystalline and polycrystalline panels. And sometimes that a dealer or an installer will say, oh, well, we use monocrystalline panels because they're better than polycrystalline panels, or we use tier 1 panels rather than tier 2 panels. Those are sort of meaningless designations, and they're designed to make the panels that they are using sound better than they actually are. And so I'd actually be very careful, because that actually should be kind of a red flag, is, it's almost as opposed to what sort of a question, right? So I think in general, be really careful. There are a lot of different types of panels, and it comes down to what the panels are going to do for you long term. For instance, SunPower panels, they are designed and warranted fully for 25 years. So they are a system that is guaranteed both by the manufacturer and us, the installer, to produce electricity at a very high level on your roof for 25 years. That's one thing I think that differentiates the solar panels, is what is their long-term effectiveness, right? And you find there's a lot of panels that have warranties that are 12 years and 15 years, and even panels that say they're 25 years that aren't actually 25 years. So yes, be very careful when you're shopping solar panels, because there are a lot of different types, and the difference is in the effectiveness long term. And so it's not something that a lot of dealers are going to really bring up with you.
So on that front, is there kind of a system for how panels are rated? I mean, so again, obviously, at some level, if you're shopping around maybe a couple companies, you're having to kind of then compare. And if it's not apples to apples, is there a place you would go to kind of be able to help differentiate the two? I mean, obviously, in talking to an expert, there's always that inherent risk of the expert you're talking to and what their agenda is from that standpoint. But is there either a place online or a standard to kind of show what that is, so that way when someone says, oh yeah, ours is a 25-year warranty panel, to show that it really is a 25-year warranty panel versus someone slapping a sticker on their panel that really has no meaning at all?
It's a little bit tough because there isn't a totally centralized system for rating panels against each other. There is one website called Solar Reviews, which is a great option. Honestly, there's the Austin Energy, which offers a rebate. As part of their rebate, they require you to take a test, and they ask that you get several quotes. And I think that is one way to really kind of understand the difference between panels, is to get several quotes, but also to dig in and be really kind of careful about what you're getting. Because as of right now, there are a few bodies like you can look at kind of Consumer Reports and things like that at different panels, the Better Business Bureau. You can look at ratings right on places like Google, or Yelp. For the companies that you're doing business with, but it can be hard. Like, it's a lot of nitty gritty. It's a lot of technical aspects to figure out how they're rated. And I think the best way is to do a little bit of research, get some quotes, and ask some really significant questions. Dig into warranty questions as well is a really good way to understand which is going to be better than the other.
And I know one of the things I always recommend to clients, whether it's solar or any kind of construction thing where you're having to wonder about the quality of the material, the quality of the workmanship, is to also really dig into that company. Like, is that a company that's been around? Who's going to handle that warranty? Because great, your solar panel has a 25-year warranty, but if you have a company that's only been in business for 6 months, are they going to be around to actually handle that warranty? And if not, who is? Right. Because the warranty is really only as good as the people who are going to stand behind it anyway, from that standpoint. So that's always a big thing for me when I recommend any type of product to my clients.
Absolutely. And Freedom Solar is a local Austin company that's been in business for 13 years now. And we are the largest residential installer of solar. And we've always been built in a sustainable and strategic way. So we've kind of built ourselves around our customer service first and foremost, right? And our service and our installation quality. And so part of that is making sure that we are, like you say, we're going to be around for 25 years to take care of our customers. We guarantee, the production numbers of our systems for 25 years. And so that's a really key thing, right? Is that we are looking at what do the next 20, we've been around for 13, what do the next 25 years look like? How do we make sure that we stay in business so that we can, keep building the solar revolution in Texas, and also, help to make sure that customers who have already installed solar are satisfied and understand their system and know they're working.
Nice. So go ahead.
Oh, one more thing is just that Freedom Solar, we're the local Austin installer and the Texas master dealer for SunPower. And SunPower is the technology, the brand of panels. They've been in business for 35 years. And, as you're talking about, the quality of the system, that what really is one thing that makes the difference is that, especially with a 25-year warranty, a lot of companies claim a 25-year warranty. SunPower, to my knowledge, is the only company that has panels on rooftops that are 25 years old. And so they're the only company that can say actually what a 25-year warranty means to them, because they've seen the other end of it.
Yeah. Cool. So I know one of the big things everyone always is going to ask is cost. So is there kind of a way to help ballpark what the cost of a system would be? Obviously, each individual home is going to be different based off of, what type of panels they can put on, where they can put on panels, how big the home is and stuff. But are there kind of ballparks people should keep in mind when it comes to cost of the solar system?
That's a tough thing because I know, I'd love to be able to give you a really easy number. But it's a tough thing because it is something that we customize for every house is different, and every The things like, the amount of electricity you use and the direction of your roof and the shape of your roof may mean that you and a nearly identical neighbor that you pretty much think are the same may have totally different solar needs and electricity needs. One thing I think to kind of put this into perspective, though, what does it cost to go solar? I think that I would sort of hopefully helpfully answer that question with a question, which is, what do you plan on paying for electricity for the next 25 years? If you have a number for that, an easy way to come up with a number for that is, what did you pay in the last 12 months for electricity? Multiply that by 25. Well, that's if that's going to give you electricity costs for 25 years if electricity never goes up, right? Which is going to,
not
right?
going to happen. Yeah, exactly.
Not going to happen. Yeah, exactly. Solar is going to cost less than that, right? And it's going to provide the same service as that 25 years worth of electricity. Certainly, once you start getting into the inflation, is when it really, really starts to save you money. So, it costs. What I can say is that it costs in a lot of different ways less than you're currently paying for electricity, and certainly less than you're going to pay for electricity over time. But to give you kind of more a detailed number than that is difficult. I can say that most people go solar without putting any money down. And with most instances, we can get a pretty straight bill swap so that we can eliminate your electric bill, freeze your electric rate at a lower rate than what you're paying, and then, lock you in at that cost so that you never have to worry about your electric rates rising.
Nice. So one of the things I know, being in Texas, the land of the free and all home of the brave and all that stuff that Texas love being Texans, is, can we get off the grid if we go solar?
You absolutely can get off the grid if you go solar. Solar plus batteries is a great option. And we are the largest residential installer of Tesla Powerwalls, as well as SunPower, as well as residential solar. But it also it's a really good option. If you want to get off the grid entirely, it is the solar plus batteries is a great option, because you can use the batteries when the solar's not producing, and then during the day the solar recharges the batteries and keeps kind of everything running. The one thing I will say is that is a huge challenge, right? We getting off the grid kind of goes beyond the question, usually skips the question of, how does my life change by going off the grid, right? People, sure. We enjoy some very, very extreme amounts of bounty with electricity, right? Every time I plug something in, every time I turn on a light, I have no thought in my mind that there's not going to work. That it's not going to work, right? There are certain parts of Texas, like West Texas and parts of South in sort of the Big Bend and areas like that. I've talked to customers. I've definitely recommended that they, use a battery system, because they have, say, a few days a month where they don't have electricity. And I think that's where it starts to, but that's another question that I would answer with a question too. It's like, how often do you really lose power, right? How is it worth it to go off the grid for you? Because it is an extra, add-on. Batteries don't come with most systems. Most systems are just standalone solar.
And one of the interesting things I found out too, in kind of doing some research with that, is that generally if you're on the system, that your system won't work if there's a power outage from that standpoint, because they don't want the people that are working on the system to suddenly have that electrical surge of electricity from your system going into the system they're working on. So it was kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's actually a national electrical code that says it. There's a lot of nitty gritty into this, and honestly, like, that's why I do like to tell people, right? My job is really to help some people understand something that is really very new and has a lot of nuance to it for every single person. I see somebody mentioned in the comments, like, what if I don't plan on living in the house for 25 years? Yeah. Like, great question. A lot of homeowners don't live in their homes for 25 years. So, there are options. You can take the panels with you, right? You can always, put them on your new house, or you can sell the house with the panels on them and add to the value, right? Troy and I actually have some experience with that exact kind of scenario.
I had a client recently that was buying a house that had solar panels, and the owner decided they wanted to take the panels with them, which they did. there was some, again, that's not something I would usually recommend for my clients to take them with them, because there is a cost to do that as well. And then there was some additional maintenance they had to do to repair the system, repair the home after they had taken the system with them, as well as if you're generally the statistical numbers show, the reports and stuff show that you're going to get about a 3 to 4% home increase in your home price based off of having a solar system. Again, every area is a little different. It's impossible to draw a complete blanket statement from that standpoint. But if you're like most parts of Austin, the average home price in Austin is around $400,000. So that would mean that you're going to be anywhere from about $12,000 to $15,000 in increased property value having a solar system. And there definitely is intrinsic value there, because again, people know that electricity costs, utility costs are continuing to rise, and if that's something they're going to be able to save on, that's going to make a home generally more desirable. So usually you can find a little bit of additional value in the home from that standpoint.
Yep. And one more thing to kind of mention about home value is that here in Texas, that home value can't increase your property taxes. So, they are not allowed to increase your property taxes based on your solar system. There are some counties, this is really strange, but just to kind of give you an idea of how much nuance there are some counties where I've actually heard from customers that the county has then lowered their property taxes after they go solar. Not everywhere, right? Again, like definitely not everywhere. But I just to kind of examine that.
Huge disclaimer. We can't.
Huge disclaimer. Yeah, it will not necessarily
that,
lower your property values or your property taxes, but it just to say, like, it's really this is something that if you're kind of serious about understanding and want to know more about, it's worth it to kind of have a conversation and just be ready to take it wherever it goes. Because for me, a lot of the customers a lot of the people that I speak to don't go solar immediately, or they will go solar over time, or maybe they'll never go solar at all. Maybe it isn't right for them, and that's fine. But it's what I view my job is helping people understand this brand new technology and the consequences it has for them, how it can be beneficial, certainly, and what are the best ways to navigate a very complex new industry.
So with that being said, so you guys mentioned that you guys have that 25-year panel. One of the things we've talked about in the past has been that the panels lose some of their production power over the course of their lifetime, like almost any machine that we have. How long would you generally expect the system to last? Is it usually through that warranty period? Is it past that? How long are you generally thinking that a system would last from that standpoint?
Generally, it's hard to say that the system's going to last much beyond the warranty period. I think that I'm a little cynical about warranties because I've seen a lot of bad ones. And I take the position as a consumer that whenever I buy something, I expect it to fall apart the day the warranty is no longer valid, right? And I think that a company's going to design a system that way, design any product that way. Whether it's solar or this pen or a cell phone or whatever, right? So I would expect, I think that you will get generally more power out of the system after 25 years. Specifically the guarantee on a SunPower claim on a SunPower panel is that the amount of degradation, right? And so it's guaranteed to be 92% productive at year 25. And the reason that, it will still last after 25 years, but that degradation will drop off a little bit more significantly. But yeah, again, 25 years is the guaranteed life of the system. And we're not just talking about the panels, we're talking about all components of the system, basically. And again, I would just really encourage people to, as they're looking at these systems, to be really careful, right? Because if the system one aspect of the system might have a 25-year warranty and another aspect might have a 12-year warranty. And if you've got one part of it that has a 12-year warranty and one part that has a 25-year warranty, but they're both really key to the system actually functioning, then what is the real, how long do you really expect the system to last? So, with SunPower panels, we can really confidently say that it is 25 years, full 25 years that it is going to last, and we guarantee it. And the other thing that's unique about SunPower is that it builds every part of the system. So the panels, there's a microinverter that goes on to every panel, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about that. And racking, monitoring, all of that equipment is built and designed by SunPower. So it's all guaranteed under the same one singular system.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, do you, not necessarily currently, but do still Austin Energy or other places offer incentives, federal government incentives, those kind of things? It's hard to kind of keep track of it. Not that you're necessarily a CPA to answer everyone's tax questions, but I know that's one of the things that it can help people offset that. And here in Austin, we obviously also have different municipalities that where their energy comes from, Austin Energy, as well as some different independent energy places up in Round Rock and Pflugerville and those kind of places too. So how much does that impact?
Yeah, there are definitely incentives. There are this sort of, above the line incentives of, there is still a 26% federal tax credit. It's going down to 22% next year. So this is a great opportunity to take advantage of that. If you live in the city of Austin, there is still an Austin Energy rebate of $2,500. And then there's I think the other incentive that we don't talk about as much, which is kind of net metering. And I think that we're going to get to that in a minute. But, the fact that your utility is willing to engage you and say, hey, the electricity that you produce is going to be as valuable as the electricity that we deliver to you. That is really something they're willing to engage you on a very fair system. And that's an incentive we don't talk about enough, especially because that incentive means that solar holds down your cost of electricity, right? In Austin, they have a 4-year rolling value of solar that gets reassessed every few years and raises if the price of electricity gets raised. In the independent energy markets, Encore, you can get full net metering so that they're going to pay you exactly what they charge you for electricity. And that means that if you look at what you were paying for electricity last year, if you live in Pflugerville or Round Rock, and you look at what you're paying for electricity last year and what you're paying for electricity this year, it's going to be more this year, right? It's the price of electricity is rising, and it's rising faster than people think about, and that is a huge incentive, because if you are going to if you go solar, you're locking in your electricity rate to what it is now, right? And having that electricity not have to rise for time. So that's a really huge incentive, that metering aspect, because it really inflates the amount of savings that you're going to have over time. If you're paying 13 cents a kilowatt hour right now, 10 years from now, when you've got solar, you're still essentially paying that 13 or less cents a kilowatt hour. Your neighbors are probably going to be paying double that. So that's sort of that's the magic of solar.
I was kind of going to talk about net metering, but it seems like we kind of got that covered, which is, again, one of the bigger things is getting that energy cost paid, getting that energy expenses paid for, and that benefit continues to rise, even though the system's already been in place. You're not locked in at just what the rates were the time that you installed the system. So you're getting that continual benefit from that standpoint.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on here quick and chat. I'm sure that people may have additional questions, potentially about something we talked about here or specifically to their situation. I would highly recommend contacting Aubrey. Here's a bunch of contact information for him. He's great to talk to and just kind of get to understand the solar environment and situation better for you, and being able to see if it might be something that is worth you guys looking into. So appreciate the time, Aubrey.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Troy.